Hey, welcome. We are revisiting the Mania, primarily a WrestleMania rewatch podcast. And today we will be doing a movie review. We have done several in the past, such as Fighting with My Family, The Iron Claw. Um, I forgot the other one. And now we're doing the Smashing Machine.
Queen
The
of the
Smashing
Ring.
Machine.
Queen of the Ring, right?
Queen of
We can do that.
Yeah, Queen
Yes,
of the Ring.
thank you, Raymond. You were there for that one. Sorry.
So we're reviewing Rock the Smasher,
Yeah.
the
something like-
Smashing,
the Smasher.
the Smasher.
Yeah. So I'm Carlos. If this is your first time watching it, and this is my wife Maria. And joining us is our friend who has joined us for many episodes when we review WrestleMania events, whether it's 1, 10, 20. I think you were here for 25 and I think 30.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
yeah. So and now you join us for another movie review because I think you were here for the Queen of the Ring one too.
Yes. I think I'm gonna give myself pyro. Let's see if that works. No, I give
Ooh.
You're fancy.
We gotta get more money into this show so we can get an Apple monitor.
Yeah, so if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe to us.
Yeah, and like the bottom of the banner says, we're here to review the Smashing Machine, and we're gonna let you guys know: is this a hidden gem? Is this the movie that gets the Rock the Oscar, or is it a total knockout flop?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear your opinions. I'm very curious. This movie was a little jarring when we watched it at the theater. So I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah. So, without any further ado, let's start off with what we enjoyed. So, Raymond, I'll let you kick this off here since you're a guest.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the early days of mixed martial arts when we're not yet into the hundreds for UFC. Pride fighting was still pretty big. And to me, this was the most entertaining time for MMA because it was that transition when MMA became more about striking, but in these days it was more about wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So these were some of my favorite fighters. My favorite MMA fighter was Carlos Newton, who was a jiu-jitsu specialist, but he was also a total nerd. He called his style Dragon Ball Jiu-Jitsu. So that gives you an idea. But he fought around the same time as Coleman, Kerr, Randleman, and all these cats. So I enjoyed going back to this era because I had much more fun with MMA, particularly UFC back then. I liked it so much better back then than what it's become today, which not all the fights, but a lot of them are just, crappy boxing because they emphasize striking so much. And a lot of them aren't very good strikers. I rather see a more diverse style. I love like jiu-jitsu masters, totally fascinate me.
Okay. Maria, what about yourself?
As far as
What did you enjoy
of
this
the movie?
particular movie? Like, did you enjoy visiting this part, like Raymond just mentioned, of this era of the UFC, in particular through the eyes or through the life of Mark Kerr?
I think like quite a few of us, I enjoyed or watched UFC fights. And when I think UFC fights or mixed martial arts, it always makes me think back to that one movie, Bloodsport.
Yes. With the Kumite.
So when I saw this movie, I was definitely interested in watching because, of course, The Rock was in it. And then his love interest or girlfriend at the time, who was the actress?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
She's wonderful.
So she is wonderful. And I actually just saw Emily Blunt in another movie that she was in.
Mary
And
Poppins.
what is it?
No.
Not Mary Poppins.
No.
Such a different personality.
Was it The Devil Wears Prada?
The Devil Wears Prada.
We were watching that, I think.
Rewatching it
Peacock.
early in her career. So like what a difference of characters.
Oh yeah.
And then I've also seen her in The Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was just a really big difference to see her in this role in this movie. I think she did well, portraying his girlfriend. And I really, some of my favorite parts of this movie were seeing not only the interest, him practicing, him loving the sport, him explaining how he got that like pop from the crowd, but also just the struggles that he had with steroids and drug use. It was very honest, and you know, I really it was kind of hard for me to watch those parts as well. But I enjoyed seeing him come out of that addiction. So that was one of my favorite parts of this movie, is seeing him like rise above the addiction.
Right.
What about you?
No. As for me, what I enjoyed The Rock, uh, like the portrayal of Mark Kerr. I did get a couple of pictures. So here, let's see here. We have the real Mark Kerr here. And then we have Mark Kerr in the ring, so we can see how he looks like. And now we have what The Rock looks like portraying Mark Kerr. Kind of like similar, eerie, but like
They
body types. But I
are
think,
similar until they smile, because Mark Kerr has
yeah,
a really distinct smile. He looks like the Joker, and
To
you know
you?
the Rock doesn't.
yeah.
Oh,
Also, right here, he kind of reminds me of Lou Ferrigno, and also the
Ah,
voice when he's talking, The Rock. So that was the. So that's kind of like something I enjoyed. Um, I enjoy like seeing some of the fights. This is produced in by The Rock's moving production company, and also distributed with A24, which
right.
A24 has given us lots of good movies
mhm.
uh, in the past, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the most recent, I guess, sports entertainment or wrestling related movie, The Iron Claw. Uh, so it's kind of should be like in its niche of where it should be successful, but this movie is not tracking to be successful. But I'm going off track here. Speaking of it,
Well,
so go
I
ahead.
was surprised. Well, you still haven't. What are your
Yeah.
favorite?
So besides that, my other thing that I enjoyed about this is when Mark Kerr is getting his fix on and his home, they play a song. Raymond, have you heard this song where it's like kind of like a 80s synth, 90s synth, and it's a girl singing about take me in your arms, and he's
I
getting
don't
high?
remember it. What track was that?
Yeah. It's a song by this artist called,
Take me in your arms.
I didn't get the clip,
You've
but
never heard of that
I'll
song?
send it to you later, or I'll post a link into this video later so people can see it. But growing up in Chicago, you heard it a lot during the
All the
summertime. It's classified
time.
Oh,
under a certain type of music called freestyle,
Yes.
which is like electronic synthy love ballads. So I
Like,
one,
Oh My Diamond Girl is another one. You
yes,
know that one,
oh,
Raymond?
yeah, that one I
yeah,
know.
yeah. So it's in that same type of genre and family of music. So just to hear that, because I've never heard that type, like any song being referenced of that particular genre and style in a movie, particularly, I guess we can call this a mainstream movie, even more it's like kind of an art house or
Art
award
house.
show type of thing.
hmm
So I enjoyed hearing that because I was like, what? This song actually, someone actually heard this in the producer or the director, and we're like, I need to get the rights to this song. This song would be perfect for this particular moment where he's getting high.
I think they did a good job at setting the stage as well. Like, it brought me back to that time period.
Mhm.
What time, like, do you all this movie was set in?
It says that it's from 1999 to 2000 or 2001.
So like the
Yeah,
clothing, the hairstyles, the
the
bathrooms, the
Cars.
aesthetics of the
The
kitchen.
cars.
like the music, that all brought me back to when we were growing up. That was definitely a throwback. Yeah.
Anything else that we want to tackle of what we enjoyed?
I do want to agree with Maria on Emily Blunt. I thought she was the best actor in this movie by quite a large margin, but I expect that from her though. She's a really talented actor and she's so diverse, but I never imagined her playing white trash. And she did it so well. We know she can do drama. We know she can do comedy. We know she can kick ass and things like Sicario. She was in Sicario, right?
Yeah, she was in the first Sicario. She's also in that movie with Tom Cruise, Live, Die, Repeat.
Right.
And so
this is definitely, I don't know if this is like a stray away from her usual blockbuster multi-million-dollar movies. This movie cost a little over $50 million to make.
50 million.
Oh, did it?
And is what I saw, and then the revenue so far was a little over 17 million. 17 million compared to 50 thus far. So we'll see how much money they take to the bank with this movie.
And that doesn't even include marketing, most likely, because when they list production numbers, it's just the cost to actually make the movie. And marketing budgets for big movies are usually, at least 50% of that, sometimes double.
Right.
So, ouchie.
Yeah. With Rock being shown as Mark Kerr in the beginning for the duration of this movie, I wasn't stuck on him being The Rock, which was kind of surprising to me because I've seen him portray himself in so many different movies. Like he plays himself. His TV shows, he's himself. That classic Rock smile, the aesthetic, and his catchphrases. He was very vulnerable in this movie, which was also one of my favorite things to see. And it was a different side of him that I have not seen before in other movies or TV shows. So that was another highlight for me.
Okay. Cool beans. Like I do agree with you. You did need someone else to help The Rock carry this movie, and I think they did a great job in casting Emily Blunt and helping The Rock. And maybe he took some pointers and be like asking her a question during the scenes and things like that, because we mostly have seen The Rock in these action films. So just to see him, like my wife mentioned, portraying something serious where he's not being like the flashy one or having to be the tough guy. I mean, he's a tough guy, but like the action star is what I mean, not like.
Also,
we know he can do action.
Oh.
We know he can do comedy, but drama is not something we've seen a lot of him. And I don't know. I didn't buy him as Mark Kerr. Like
you didn't. I think he broke it
The
towards the end. I was like, okay, The Rock is back towards like the end of the film. I'm not sure what it was, but like, or his prosthetics or what was going on.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the film,
he started looking more like The Rock instead of Mark Kerr.
Was it the shaved head? Did the shaved head make him look more?
I think it was a shaved head.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, like you said, Emily Blunt's character, she did a great job with making me annoyed with her. She was so toxic in this movie. I was like, please let her go. Leave. Whatever you need to do, get away. So, yeah.
That's all you have?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I got.
Raymond, anything else of what you enjoyed of this movie?
I enjoyed, hearing the names, seeing the other fighters. I mean, Coleman was in it a lot. They name dropped Sakuraba, who's one of my favorite fighters ever. I don't think they showed him in the movie though. And seeing Ensign Inoue, that just brought me back to when I watched Pride in those days. I got to go to a Pride event through THQ, and that's one thing they got wrong. I think we'll talk more about that later, but I didn't like how they portrayed the events there. But overall, I just enjoyed that whole time frame. I love that. As I said, that era of MMA was when I was most into MMA. So for me, it was great reliving that.
I'm just kind of curious because I personally stopped watching MMA after I saw Ronda Rousey get knocked out. I think that was like, for some reason, I feel like that's the definitive marker in my mind where I'm like, no more. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I had like that much faith that she was going to win. Just like I'm done with baseball right now because I'm like, the Cubs have lost and I care no more. Like, I know baseball is still going, but I'm not like as invested. That's when I lost my investment. So is MMA as big now? I'm assuming yes, because there's still gyms dedicated and training fighters. So is it as big now as it was back then?
Well, they're going to perform on the White House lawn, so it's going to be bigger than ever.
Oh, Raymond.
As a business, it is the biggest it's ever been. I mean, there's so much money in it. They do so many events, and now they're working with the Saudis, so that's another cash infusion right there. So monetarily, and in terms of global reach, yes, but I think it's the least interesting it's been in a long time. I don't know. I think the last UFC fight I enjoyed was actually Ronda Rousey's husband, Travis Brown, I think's his name. He knocked the hell out of this idiot who has now since become a idiot podcaster. Yeah. So that was, I mean, Travis will be my hero forever for just ending this guy's MMA career because that guy sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, and Raymond was correct. That is her husband's name, Travis Brown, with an E.
Yes.
With an E.
Yes.
Very quick.
Mm-hmm. So, with that, if we got nothing else to say of what we enjoyed this movie, let's get on to what we didn't like or what we felt didn't work for this movie. Maria, did you want to go first?
Yeah, so you're done with talking about what The Rock, you don't want to smell what The Rock is cooking. You want to see how The Rock is suffering, because we saw a lot of that during this movie. It was very emotional. So you want us to talk about
what you didn't like, what I didn't like, you think didn't work in particular with this movie?
Okay, so a few things that you mentioned, because you talked about a few movies that this production company produced, like The Claw. They had a little bit more creative flexibility with everything.
Yeah, it's like comparing it to Everything Everywhere All at Once is different because you're not basing it on someone's life,
right?
You don't have the abilities to go to multiverses and see how that is. So only thing, but the thing we can compare it to is The Iron Claw.
So they produced movies like The Iron Claw, also another movie that I watched, and I'm surprised Carlos hasn't, but I think I was making tamales with my father, and we were watching Civil War. What a movie to get you together over the holidays. So after seeing movies like those and watching this movie, I think this movie was not as cohesive for me as I thought it could have been. Although the movie had me very, like I was
invested.
Not only invested, but I was a little anxious watching this movie because I kept on waiting for the other shoe to fall or drop. I'm like, well, what's the bad thing that's going to happen here?
Right.
You mentioned to me that he had over 12 years of MMA fighting at minimum, and he was a wrestler before, and we only see a short glimpse of that time frame, like a short, just a few,
like
a
2
few
or 3 years. It's like
career.
from 1999 to 2000 or 2001.
Yes. We also get pieces of his friendship that he had. And to me, I don't want to say that I understand why the friendship was important. And I see his friend like showing up for him in different parts of this movie, but that just seemed like it wasn't as cohesive as it should have been for this. And then we get to see him in this relationship, different during like different points of the relationship, and we get to see the toxicity and the clinginess that she has, and we get to see his addiction, and him working through that after he collapses on the floor. So the movie made me a little anxious because I'm like, well, what's going to happen? We get to serious points in the movie where she pulls a gun and she's threatening to kill herself. We get to points in the movie where we're like, is he going to survive through this addiction? So I think they did a good job in like pulling us along. But I think it didn't feel as well put together as some of the other movies that I've seen come out of this production company. It kind of left gaps in his timeline. And then at the end, they wrap it up with seeing actual him,
Going to the grocery
going
store.
to the grocery store. And then if you had the chance to see the documentary that this was based on.
Well, it wasn't based on it, but it looks like they were heavily influenced in the making of this movie by the documentary.
It seemed like there were just like actual parts that were pulled out of this documentary exactly into the movie. And I get that it's about his life, but it was just odd seeing those parts in the documentary and seeing those exact parts in this movie. It's a little odd for me. Those are my least favorite points to this movie.
No, yeah, I agree. With that one, that's one of the main things that I also agree with you. Is now I was a big MMA fan, but I never bothered to like take a deep dive like you probably have, Raymond, because you mentioned that you did watch this documentary before, which is also called The Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
It was made back in 2002 by a company called Solaris.
And I think it was on HBO for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it anymore. So they might have pulled it down because of the movie. They're like, we can't have anyone thinking that it's the movie with The Rock, so take it down. With this, that's one of the things I didn't enjoy. That it seemed like it pulled like direct scenes from there, like when Mark Kerr loses his first match. Like this is from the documentary, and that's actually a scene that we kind of see in the movie.
When he gets kneed in the head.
When he's getting kneed in the head. Yeah. And then when he has to go, when he's talking to his contract, when he's going with Pride, he's like, I have this many fights left, how much money? That's something that's in the movie too. It's almost word for word when he talks to the rep, to I guess the president or whomever he's talking to in the tunnel. It's almost the same conversation. And I wish that they didn't just focus on these 3 years. I'm not sure if I haven't been able to see anything, but I really haven't taken a deep dive on it. But
well, we hear that he's an international champion,
right?
And we know that there's over 50,000 people in the audience at that, only one at that point of time. So when I'm watching this movie, me coming in and not really knowing anything about him, I didn't really recognize that he was like international, a superstar in the MMA. So I was hoping that they'd have like more information.
No, you're right, because in the beginning they show him in Brazil in the Vale Tudo championships, and then after that I think he fought in 2 UFCs, if I'm not mistaken. Then he went to Pride, so they didn't cover the UFC stuff at all in the movie. He just went from Brazil to Japan, and I wonder if that was like a licensing rights thing, just to use the name in the octagon, if that would have been too expensive for it. But yeah, like that. The thing I didn't like about how they portrayed the Japanese fights, they overused like background music, and it kind of they didn't convey the mood of not only Japanese MMA cards, but Japanese wrestling cards as well. Carlos, you probably both know this from watching Japanese wrestling, but for most of the show, the crowd is really quiet and really respectful. But when something happens, even if it's a subtle thing, then they go nuts and they cheer at the right times. They react at the right times. And it's different because a lot of the organizations there, they're not televised. So the wrestlers don't work for the cameras. They work for the crowd. So that's always like the first and foremost thing as to who they're targeting.
I wish that was the case. I'm glad that you called that out. Sorry.
Yeah. No, totally cool. So that, and I didn't like that because when I went to the one Pride card, I was really struck by the environment of, I'm like, why is everyone quiet? Like there's a fight going on, but they're all like so intently watching. And Japanese people are just more respectful than Westerners are in general. So it was a really unique sports event for me to experience. I did like the mood. Some of the things that Maria was talking about, the tension, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think Benny Safdie did a great job and I think the Safdie brothers are great at conveying mood. They did a wonderful job in Uncut Gems. I think that's their best movie by a long shot. This movie kind of makes me forget his appearance in Happy Gilmore 2. Because he was awful. As an actor, I'm not buying him at all, but as a director, I think he's really talented. So hopefully he directs more things and doesn't try to do comedy. But I don't know. I think you guys were more impressed with The Rock than I was. Because I remember, I think it was at Cannes when they got the standing ovation for this movie. And then all of a sudden people were saying, hey, The Rock might get an Oscar nomination for this. And then I went into this movie with that mindset. I'm like, wow, he's going to do something really impressive here. And I'm like, he's still The Rock. He's certainly trying to be a dramatic actor. I remember one of his interviews, he was saying like, it was such a pleasure getting lost in this character. I'm like, no, you were still you, man. Like, and it's interesting. It's such a contrast to something that I've been watching lately with another wrestler turned actor, Peacemaker, which is, an action over the top, raunchy comedy series. But John Cena had some really dramatic moments in season 2 that really shocked me. Like, I'm like, wow, I did not know you were this talented an actor. And compared to The Rock, I think Cena is just, passing him by big time as a dramatic actor. Anyway, like The Rock is still the guy in terms of action and box office for now. But yeah, I wasn't, my expectations were high just because of the hype that his performance was getting. And then when I saw it, he did well, don't get me wrong, but I just...
But when they say Oscar worthy, I agree with you. It's not Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
Like, I expected a lot more
emoting. You expected more acting.
I think if there was more to the story, like, then maybe we would have,
I think if they, like Maria said, I think her and I discussed this when we were driving up. Raymond, we had a very long Sunday when we went to go see this movie. So not only did we see this movie after we dropped off the kids, we drove to Milwaukee.
Oh.
To go see an local independent wrestling card. Nice. We got to meet the Outrunners.
Ha.
So Turbo and Truth Magnum. But so
wait, time out for a second. When you just said acting, you totally just reminded me of Clayface and Harley Quinn. So that like now in my head, I'm trying to imagine The Rock trying to act in this movie as Clayface. It's like, it is I, Mark Kerr.
Yeah.
When you were talking about wonderful actors that are wrestlers, I thought you were going to talk about Batista.
Oh no,
he's the worst.
In that one movie where we're like,
no, but I think he's still
like
Cena. Batista and The Rock. No,
I agree. I
Or-
agree with that in
yeah,
terms of acting.
yeah.
Oh, wait. I don't know. I'm gonna put Piper is the top.
Oh,
Well, you know
Because
what?
they live is so
I
good.
want to cover They Live. I think this would
Well,
be
you
a good
should.
time to cover They
Yeah.
Live.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a perfect time to do
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
But Raymond, you're more than welcome to come back if you want to cover
If you
that
want
one.
to
Yes.
cover
No,
They Live.
yeah, I'm such a John Carpenter mark that
Yeah, me too.
It was such a good movie.
oh
So,
yeah.
but for me, what I feel it didn't work is getting back to that is what Maria mentioned. I feel like they should have structured this movie better. Normally, with biopics, we get a rise and a fall, and like
Mm,
Maria said, that she felt like the tension, and I feel like him going to rehab and he just disappears,
right.
and then we
Yeah.
start focusing on we don't see his struggle. Like normally, like when we saw
Yes.
Ray Charles go through his thing, and
Mhm.
he had like he's trying to go through that withdrawal
Yeah. I remember
from
those
Smack,
scenes. Yeah.
and he's imagining everything that happened in his childhood. I mean, Johnny Cash
Mm,
had one of that montages when he's going through rehab,
Mhm.
and June is like covering him, and he's going through blankets, and people are trying to stop by and see Johnny, and her and the whole Carter family are just out there trying to keep the drug dealers away. So I would have loved to have seen something that gave us more insight to what Mark Kerr was going through. What were his demons besides
yes.
not wanting
Mhm.
to lose and not wanting to be the best?
Yeah.
So if they would
So
have given us more, go ahead.
I don't know. Do you think it was implied in the movie that the reason he turned to drugs was mostly about the pain?
Yeah, I think it was. I could see that,
See,
and watching
because
the documentary. Go ahead.
that's exactly it. Yeah, because in the documentary, but also interviews I've read with Coleman, he said that it was more than the pain; it was the fear, not just fear of losing, but fear of going out there and fighting in general, is
Mhm.
why he turned to drugs, and
Mhm.
that wasn't conveyed in the movie at all to me.
No.
But to me, just having that experience of seeing like boxers and MMA, you can see, and I think that's one of the things that I saw The Rock conveying that a little bit, uh, but it's not obvious. I just don't know how I picked up on it. But before I watched the documentary, I could tell
Hmm.
that in that first fight, like that first fight that he loses to Igor,
Mhm.
um, he does he and you see it in the documentary too because they show you like the life thing. He takes a knee strike to the chin, and in the real match, and he's out,
Yeah.
but it looks like he might have got a concussion and he doesn't know what's going on, and he was just looking for someone to bail him out, and that was the same feeling that I got in the actual movie, that he
Right.
actually suffered a concussion and he was waiting for someone to bail him out because he knew he was going to lose,
Mhm.
even though he didn't want to take Igor seriously.
Right.
So but if they would have given you like him fighting with that struggle, especially since it's set up by the interview that he has before the match in the movie with the lady who was asking him, well, what happens if you lose? And he's like laughing
He's
it
like,
off. He's like, I'm not gonna lose.
I
I
like
don't
that
know
part.
Right.
what I'm gonna do if I lose, because I've never had that feeling.
Right.
So
But I do like that with top athletes where they have that, they're like, I'm gonna win. They don't have that doubt where they're like, or, where they're like, oh, what if I lose? Not what if I lose. It's like, I will win. So I did like that piece. But like you said, the whole drugs, I don't think they really flesh that out, but we get to see a part of that when he's training the second time around, and he decides to have that comeback with that trainer in their gym, and then he decides to leave with his girlfriend, and the trainer is like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I
yeah.
was like, "No, don't go,
And
don't
I think
leave."
that's one of the things the movie gave us a villain,
Mhm.
and they chose Emily Blunt's Dawn, who reminds me of Lisa Marie.
Ha.
Uh
Yeah.
a lot in this. Not Lisa Marie Presley, but I forget what her last name is. But
Vashon.
she's a wrestler, Vashon. Lisa
Yes.
Marie Vashon, who plays, who's a wrestler.
Mhm.
I'm happy that Maria gave Boss Rutan a shout out because I'm a big fan of him, not just as a fighter, but I thought he was hilarious in Here Comes the Boom. And I've had direct messages with him. You know, I'm like, hey man, when's the next movie coming out? And you know, he would talk about his acting for a little bit. I think he's really hilarious, and I wish he would do more comedy, but I don't know if that's what he wants to do. Yeah.
I like him I like that part in this movie, and then again, it felt like him in this movie was too short. We see him go to Japan, I believe, and of course he loses that fight, and Mark Kerr is like, "I'm so sorry," and he's like, "Don't apologize to me," and then he goes on to, I think, maybe help with another fight.
No, he's a commentator.
Yeah,
so
commentator.
he has to go. Yeah.
So.
It's also weird that he's playing himself from like 25 years ago.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, you could, like, when you see him training, you could see his age, but like if you're just looking at his face, and like I flashed his picture while you were talking about him, it kind of looks the same, just a little bit aged up, but it's very similar. That's to how he looks now.
But during that scene, they also give us a view of his pain, right? Because he's on the floor,
right?
He's in pain. His body is like seizing from the pain that he's experiencing. And then Mark Kerr, was like, "Well, let me help you out." And then we see him give him a shot of, what is it, testosterone, or
no? It's one of the opiate
painkiller. And then you can kind of see what he experiences as it's flushing through his body. And then he talks about his character, or Mark Kerr, being sweaty. And he's like, "Oh, this is why you're so sweaty. Like, now I understand what's going on with you, is that you're taking these opiates."
Yeah.
So
how do you fight on this? Yeah.
So that was some good insight into that, like the piece one of the drug, to him taking it in, and then the 3, that pain that he was experiencing. So we can imagine what kind of pain he's going through, or MMA fighters are experiencing, as they're constantly enduring, these fights and consistently training for it.
Maybe this is another avenue for Boss Rutan to pursue, because he can do comedy, but maybe he can, portray being high in other movies, because he did a good job.
They're working on another
Requiem for a Dream too. We'll get him as a heroin addict.
Wait, they didn't do Requiem. Who did Requiem for a Dream?
He's canceled. Brian Singer directed.
He's canceled?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
We'll move on.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Yeah.
So those were some of my least favorite bits.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's another guy. So that's for me. I just felt like it could have focused on something else, giving him a different rise and fall. This man's career spans from like 1998 to 2009. So you could have picked up somewhere else to focus on, instead of something similar that the documentary focuses on.
Also, there was like a lot of focus on his friend. So I'm like, are we focused on your friend, or are we focused on you? Are we focused on your toxic relationship that you have? I'm like, which, so that's why it was a little like not as well put together for me. But Ray, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with that. I mean, as Carlos mentioned before, it appears they modeled so much of this after the documentary that maybe they just didn't do a lot of research, or didn't have material to draw from, or someone was just lazy. So it would have been interesting if they went all the way to the end of his career, because there's actually a wrestling tie-in. He had a match scheduled with Sean O'Hare, who was in WCW and WWE. Who did he team with in WWE? Chuck Palumbo. Chuck
Palumbo, yeah.
Yeah. So he, but that match was canceled. But that would have been interesting to have, like, maybe Sean O'Hare can play himself from 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. If we have nothing else to tackle, we can move on to the last thing I have here.
Yeah.
Do we recommend this movie? Whether it's streaming, whether you still want to give The Rock your money after we've either convinced you or given you like the bare bones of what this movie is about, or should you just avoid it at completely? Raymond.
Okay, I'm going to give you a really long non-answer. So after two of these movies from A24, I have no idea who these movies are for. The Iron Claw is, a very dramatic film about a famous wrestling family. But the fans at the time, they were gods in Texas. And I'll be crass here. A lot of their fans were like boozer rednecks. They're not going to see an A24 movie. And the same goes for this. Like a lot of MMA fans now, maybe not back then. It had a much smaller, but probably more diverse audience in the 90s and aughts. But now people are interested in MMA. It's that beer guzzling crowd that listens to Kid Rock, and those kind of people. Are they going to see an A24 movie? Probably not. So it makes me wonder. I don't know who these movies are for. Queen of the Ring is a little bit different because that was so long ago that if you have an interest in that era or being more interested in the history of that time, there's something to go for there. For this, like I don't know. Maybe that's why it's not doing well in the box office. I don't remember how well or not Iron Claw did. So maybe that's a problem. Like they either need to make these things like full of action and over the top and just silly to get that broader audience, or maybe don't spend $50 million to make a movie that has a very limited audience. So I enjoyed it, but I will watch it again when it streams, but I would not tell anyone to rush out and go watch it.
Okay. Maria, you have a
Iron Claw budget 15.9 million, box office 45.2 million.
That's how you do it. 15 million.
Yeah, that's more reasonable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. Like most of the budget must have gone to either The Rock or to Emily Blunt, or I can't imagine like where you would get 50 million, because it doesn't seem like they spend a lot of money on special effects.
I didn't see
unless you're like using some production special. Exactly, like you're using some type of special filter that makes everything look.
For The Rock.
Yeah, where these prosthetics made out of,
What was The Rock?
Out of gold.
The Rock's HGH and testosterone budget. Because he got so big for this movie. And
did
he lost a lot of weight.
I think unnecessary because when we look at him originally, he is not that large. And what I was so curious about and why I wanted to watch a documentary is because his character in the movie is so soft-spoken. You know, like he seems like a gentle giant. And I was like, who is this person? Also
have you
curiosity
of The Rock recently though?
No, did he slim down a lot?
He slimmed down.
Oh my god!
I heard he slimmed down a lot.
Yeah, he looks sickly almost. Like
that's a. And is there any reason why? Has he talked about it?
Because he had to get off of those performing enhancing drugs because he started having heart issues.
Oh wow!
So now he has to pretty much slim down.
Well, I mean, Batista also slimmed down, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, these guys are also in their 50s. They can't be carrying that much weight. Oh, wow. So yeah, he almost looks like what's his face? Giancarlo Esposito. Like, is that what The Rock's trying to look like?
Oh, he's trying to take over as being a Moff Gideon.
I think Batista's also lost a lot of weight.
Oh yeah, he's also lost a lot of weight.
And I'm not sure if that's for
older
or for
that's for his health.
That's for
yeah.
And he's pretty much retired from action movies, right? I think
Batista. don't follow the news because I
think
think he's a
so.
garbage
We know you
person.
follow him
We know
closely,
you follow
so
him.
that's why
You have
we're
an
checking
autographed
on
book.
you.
You have his autographed autobiography.
We don't have his
Yeah.
autographed
Yeah.
biography. You do.
Yeah, my friend Jose signed it, I think.
I didn't say he signed it. I just said you have an autographed biography of his. Okay,
So
Maria.
we're getting off on a tangent. What are we
Yeah.
talking about? Back to the movie. Hold on.
He recommended that people stream it, not to run out and see it, and he'll do the same. What
I
about
agree.
yourself?
I recommend that you stream it. Do not watch it like we watched it, and then I was very confused while we were driving. So, like you said, I think you explained it perfectly. I'm like, who is this movie for? Who is this movie for? Who did you want this movie to be for? Is it the MMA fans that are nostalgic and are going to go and watch out of curiosity what this movie is, or like, what's going on with Mark Kerr specifically? It's very specific. Is it a new MMA fan? Is it somebody that wants to get out of a toxic relationship? Like, who is this for? And then we find out that he gets back with her just to marry her and
have a kid
and be in a married relationship for 6 years with the same person.
Right.
Like, well, what do we didn't learn anything. And then in the documentary, they show his brother. So I'm like, we don't see his brother at all during this movie, or his family.
Yeah,
so I'm just like,
he mentions in the documentary he has no family, and then like 20 minutes before he says that, they showed his father, they show his brother, and they showed his sister talking about how they grew up fighting.
His brothers talked about him fighting.
Yeah.
They used to wrestle and fight upstairs while their mom was like, hey boys, what are you doing up there? Nothing. We're just, playing around. So I'm like, where was that in this movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe as a
As for me, if you want to see The Rock, maybe. But for me, if you want to see The Rock and you want to pay The Rock money to see him bulk up, roided out, talking like Lou Ferrigno,
having a funny nose.
Yeah, please go out there and watch it. It's your money. If you want to watch it, you go out and watch it. But if you want to save some money, but seriously, if you want, I would just wait for streaming, or if you find a way to do it, because there's a way to do it somewhere. There's you go watch the documentary, you'll almost be watching the same movie that you watch, except for it has the real Mark Kerr and not The Rock and Emily Blunt. Yeah. But if you are interested in the life of Mark Kerr, especially since I guess they announced that he's going to be joining a legacy wing of the UFC, I guess they have a Hall of Fame where they were doing something. So maybe that's why this movie's coming out. And since Raymond mentioned, like, who is this for?
Yeah,
maybe it's for the who are like, why is Mark Kerr in the legacy wing? What has Mark Kerr ever done? Maybe that's why. But yeah, me as not as a hardcore UFC fan, but I did watch many hours while I was stuck in Korea, because some family members would send back UFC tapes, and then they would end up on the bars for some reason, and they would just replay them over and over and over. So, but I mostly remember like Royce Gracie and Dan Severn and all those other guys that eventually, now we have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Things
if
like
I'm
that,
not mistaken, Mark Kerr was supposed to fight Royce Gracie, but that got canceled too. Or no, I think Royce dropped out. Like they were supposed to fight in Pride. They had all these unusual rules set because the Gracie family can dictate things back then. And then Gracie pulled out. So
and I'm sure it's because he pretty much didn't want to have anything to do with Mark, since all he did was just grapple you and then just hug you and then knee you in the back of your kidneys and things like that. So No one wanted to see that, and we all know that we wanted to see someone get knocked out, someone
You see,
get bloodied up.
I would have liked to have watched. That's the kind of MMA match that I enjoyed back then, when you had two masters of grappling just trying to outthink each other. That's I always thought that was more interesting than who can land the first knockout punch.
Oof. Yeah. Otherwise, just go watch boxing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you very much, anyone who has watched this and made it this far. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and give a like. Share with somebody, share with a friend, share with a Rudo, share with a Toxica, share with anyone that you want to torture if you did not like this. But Raymond, do you have anything to promote or plug?
Yeah, check out my podcast if you get a chance. We had an excellent guest in my last episode talking about Peacemaker. Carlos was kind enough to drop by, and Carlos is dropping by next week when we're talking about Gen V season 2, which
You are
very much a fan of that series, of this season. Yeah, so please.
It was a really great episode. Watch it.
Yeah, and as for us, keep up with our socials: Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, Revisiting Mania. Send us an email if you want, revisitingmania@gmail.com, and we'll hope to get the next episode of WrestleMania 37 out to you guys as soon as we can figure out who can watch our kids.
Deuces.
Thank you. Bye-bye.